Well,
Hello. I want to thank everybody.
hang on 1 sec. Put my headphones on.
Well, let me put my phone on mute.
Sweet, got it.
I am so sorry about the different time zone, Marty. I
Don't worry.
apologize.
No worries, man. It's okay. We could have done it tomorrow, but I was having internet problems anyway at 8 o'clock. So, but if you want to do it now, we can. Yeah,
we're good, man. Like I said, I got all my times mixed up. Let me get centered. This is weird. But yeah, I want to first introduce you to the live stream. I'd like to take time out to thank Mr. Marty Ware for taking time out to do a live stream. I messed up and got the dates mixed up because his time zone is ahead of ours. He has plenty of years of worm knowledge. He has over 42,000 subscribers. He is a great YouTuber, great videos, plenty of knowledge. I want to personally thank you for taking time out to do this with me. You know, it's an honor and a pleasure to be able to meet you, Mr. Marty.
Oh, no, it's same. I know we've been, same. Yeah. We've been watching each other's videos here and there and saying hello and stuff like that. So, yeah, no, it's similar interests. And I know you've been trying to reach out to me a little while, but a few tech issues on getting back to each other. But we got here. Even this morning was a technical issue. So we seem to be battling through it all. But that's the whole online world. And look, it's a pleasure to be here. And I didn't actually know that we were already live when we got started because it doesn't show me anywhere on this thing. But anyway,
okay,
we are here.
All right, let's see. I see someone there here. Their name is Solar Eclipse. They said hello, but yeah, I see you. Can you see me at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're live. You just got a subscriber, Marty. Eclipse Solar just subscribed.
Well, thank you. And for some reason, I'm just me, full screen at the moment. But you've got the control of the background here, so just let me know how you're going there. It seems to be just like an in and out little small problem here with AJ, but we're still live. He'll come back in a second, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'll go ahead. You can speak. I'm going to go and get the setup and just boot me off for a second.
Okay,
but,
no worries.
Yeah,
I'll let you know a little bit about myself. I'm an Australian. I started into the organic gardening industry from very young age, like almost from when I was born. I was pushing a lawnmower and weeding gardens and growing plants in my mum and dad's backyard, and did it like off and on for quite a long time. Until I went to college and studied agribusiness in close to the year 2000 now. I've been doing it off and on ever since then, involved in some surfing industry and as well as the organic gardening side, and predominantly moved down the sort of the track of organic soils, sustainability and worm farming. And I really want to push now as we're coming into this new change, this new revolution of building organic soils, making beautiful organic gardens and using our waste that we have that comes out of our kitchen daily and out of like little restaurants and cafes all around us and goes off to landfill and compost it and putting into worm farms and things. So it's amazing what we can turn this waste into something, just what I like to call it, waste into something wonderful, And you know all about that, AJ, because you're doing it too.
Yes, sir. I learned a lot. When I first started out on YouTube, it's been over I think 5 years now since I've been making YouTube videos, and you were one of the first guys I actually started to watch, and learn a lot of information from, because you have a lot of knowledge, and I really enjoyed watching your videos and still do.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
So, a little bit about you. You have a new business you're connected with now, right? You have like a new location that you have this worm business going, Marty?
Some really interesting stuff going on, AJ. It's just, to be honest, in business, like, look, I studied Certificate 4 in small business management. I never went into uni or anything like that. So, I'm okay at it. I'm not It's not the best, but I'm okay at it. But I do understand that it's not really good to be the 4 leader in some ways, because you're the one that's got to do the experiments. You're the one that's got to run all the time, put all their money into it and things. And I'm a low income earner, so it's very difficult to do that. But I've been lucky to barter a space that I have on a landscaping site, where they sell landscaping materials and different composts and things like that. And I can use these materials as well as other things that I get from the source around the area, such as coffee grounds, and put the worms into it with these big worm farms, underground systems, and they mulch, they chew through it, lay their cocoons. And so it's really just sort of like, I know there's in the States, it's much bigger there than it is in Australia. We're so far behind in this sort of technology that should be being used. Hey, AJ, can we just turn that music down if that's okay? It's just sort of getting in my headphones, and I understand. Hard to concentrate. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, no problem.
So, I'm there at the moment. I don't know how long I'll be there. It's hard to do all the video content and then run all that and be a one-man band. But I recently was, I should have the certificate here to show you, but it's, where is it? I think it's back inside. But I was recently just mentioned in sort of like in Parliament. My name has been, I got a certificate the other day, turned up on my door about this work that I'm doing to help create this regenerative systems for local councils and stuff and for local people. Because in the next 5 to 10 years, we don't have any green waste going out to landfills. And I got this, it was like an envelope. It's got an official seal on it and everything like that. It was right at the front door, gold seal. So talking, like from the government. Oh, I crap myself. Oh, shit, I'm in some trouble here. Maybe I'm going to go to court. I'm going to be sued. Oh, I don't know what's going on. So I'm scared to open this thing. Anyway, I open it up, and it was my local representative who mentioned everything that I was doing at Parliament in Canberra. And so I was like, well, so they are taking sort of notice, whether I can get there. The manpower is very difficult. But by just putting the concepts out there online, talking to people like yourself, going on shows like this, producing my own content, it builds this expansion of knowledge. And that expansion of knowledge becomes wealth because, knowledge to me is wealth. So a healthy living lifestyle with, an ever-growing knowledge is wonderful. So we'll see what happens in the future with that. As I said, it's hard to be a content producer and then run a business like that at the same time. So I'm learning as I go, AJ.
Exactly. So question for you, that big worm you had, that snake, whatever you got, what kind of worm was that? What was it?
Well, I wish that I was a scientist sometimes. Look, the thing is that, and most of the people, a lot of people know this already, is there's just not enough information about what's in our soils, right? It's only really been the last maybe 5 years we've actually got the technology now to look more into the microbial systems and the fungi and stuff that's in our soil, our living soils. And worms are just a part of that living, breathing organism. And so there's hundreds of thousands of varieties. And I'd say more than likely that one's just come out of the mangroves in the swampy marshes, chasing the food that I've got and gone, wow, it's better in here than down on the mangroves, and started breeding in that. So it's some type of local worm, I would say. But it looks like a surface dweller more than it could be something similar to a night crawler, I would say. I'd say it goes along the surface and goes down as well, instead of like red wigglers are just surface dwellers pretty much, right?
Yeah.
They'll go down if they're hunting food or warmth or temperature or water, but they'll predominantly hang in that top 6 inches, where night crawlers, I've seen them down 3 feet in my compost system. So it could be something like that. And it'd be interesting to see they drop some monster cocoons.
Oh, wow.
In the system. We'll see.
I hear you. So explain the mushroom compost. That's different from, I've never experienced that before. So
yeah,
how do you use it? I mean, break it down to me,
Okay, so we're talking about in a worm farm. Is that what you mean? Right.
Yeah.
So predominantly, mushroom compost. They're growing mushrooms with a substrate. So it could be a straw. They could be using anything, coffee grounds to chicken manure, high nitrogen source that hits the carbon, moisture, warmth, and then sets the biology off. And also then the mushrooms start to grow, right? So the mushrooms are just a flower, so to speak, of the whole stuff that's down below a mycorrhizae, which is the network, right? So
Okay.
as that's finished and they're harvesting and they finished harvesting it, that's a very high carbon base, right? And it's composted in a way where it's broken down enough that there's still some biology left in that, instead of just getting like a block of cocoa peat, which I still teach today to do that way. I teach a variety of ways that you probably know from watching the videos, but mushroom compost is a more preferred method because it already has some nitrogen in there. It already has some macronutrients in there. It has some carbon and stuff in there. So it depends on where you get your mushroom compost from. But overall, I would say it's just a better material than starting off with cocoa fiber, because you've got to build your microbiology in your cocoa fiber because there's not much in it when it first gets started. And that's why generally it takes a few weeks just to start to see something happening. With mushroom compost, you see it happening much quicker. And you end up with what I believe to be a better worm casting at the end. The cons of it, though, is it's heavy. And so it can be heavy to move around. So if you've got a bad neck or bad shoulders or whatever, you have to go a bit shallower with it and don't use so much. That, like without going into full lessons about worm farming, that I think that pretty much answers your question. I just prefer using composts than say the cocoa fiber at the beginning, if you can get it. Either way is good. A lot of people have success with paper, but the paper won't get the microbes on it at the beginning stages because they're not there. They've got to break down on the food that you're feeding through the worm, back through the gut, and then start building this cycle, so to speak. So we're setting off the cycle early by using composts.
I hear that's cool. Great information. Thank you for that. I see that you had a video today about the maze, the worm maze.
Yeah, the Maze Worm Farm, Australian company. Yeah, they've got a few different ones out now, small ones. They're basically seeing that, like everyone's getting more compact living. And they're a good little worm farm to get started. I recommend them for people, small spaces and kids and stuff like that. So that one's out and it's a full setup, simple setup from beginning to end. But that's using cocoa peat because predominantly when we buy the farm, that's what we get with it. And, we purchase some worms. Cocoa block peat comes with a farm. We just need some rainwater, dechlorinated water to get it started. And you got some newspaper, cardboard lying around, you're away.
That's right.
It is so cheap. I've just come out I'm in the middle of producing a video at the moment called about saving money with organic gardening. And it's just a quick little spiel about what you should do and why. And it talks about composting and worm farming. And I think those little worm farms are the best way to get started because as soon as you start learning, you go, hang on, this is what I got. Things start clicking then, and you just go through step by step. People start off too big, too fast. They crash and burn fast. So you just start off slow and expand out and you learn as you go. And before you know it, man, you could be growing a lot of food and saving a lot of money. I think now we need to think about how we're going to save our dollars by this whole change around things going with the economy at the moment. So growing food and worm farming is one way to do it, that's for sure.
Yeah, we were just watching the news, and I usually don't like to watch the news because a lot of it's bad. But they just said that inflation went up 8%, and we're spending like $300 more on groceries, with the high cost of stuff. But I'm trying to hit that gardening hard now and get really focused and start planting stuff, So that's what I'm definitely getting into because I never really focused on it. But when there's a crisis getting ready to come, you kind of change your mindset, So
for sure. And it's what's gonna happen. And unfortunately, it's a bit like this with us people. We wait until the worst things happen and then we try and fix it. It's just like the council putting a roundabout somewhere. They wait until a kid dies on a bike crash or someone gets run over, then they go, oh, we better put some lights or a roundabout, when people have been telling them for the last 10 years to do it. Yeah. So unfortunately, that's why I'm trying to work on these videos now, go and say, hey, get it done now, get started now, because you won't regret it. Even if inflation doesn't go too bad, you're going to save money and be a lot healthier and change the way you look. The whole world is moving two ways. We're going into this full-on, like, hardcore technology stuff. Mm-hmm. And then, we're, because of our bank balance is hurting, we're going, okay, well, so how do we cut our costs and do that so we can still afford these things? You know
That's
what I mean?
Right. That's right. I definitely agree.
Because I can't talk about computer or my phone these days, and I know 99% of you can't either, right?
That's right. I hear you. AV just came in. He's a worm farmer too.
Yeah,
Yep.
Good dude.
Yeah. Someone left a question. It said, get 50 pounds of used coffee grounds a week from a local coffee place. Every 2 weeks, get 20 pounds of brewery grains.
Yeah.
Trying to find a different way to process that much material and compost. This much material.
Yeah. I know it's a challenge. There's no doubt about it. But you just need carbon, right? So if you can get hold of wood chip, broken down wood chip, things like that, from the, like the tree loppers that are running around in the streets, cutting all these trees down and stuff. If, you can even like go to the people that are mowing the lawns and get the grass down. That's a high nitrogen source, but you can treat it as a carbon as well. But you've still got to get some browns into it. So just maybe some cardboard or newspaper. There's cardboard being thrown out of everywhere. If you can get a little thing to put it through, like a little shredder, get that in, just get the carbon into it, the moisture into it, and you'll be surprised. It'll go a long way. I'm collecting a lot. I collect a lot of coffee grounds. I'm having a break from it at the moment. But yeah, pretty much similar amounts, right? So that's how I do it. And you can have a look on some of my channel there, some of the big worm farm windrows. That's all made like how you're talking about, basically.
Let's see.
Question.
It says, then I shed it. Supposed to shred it in a wood chipper, feed part of it to my worms and the rest in a heat pile. Coffee grounds is nitrogen 2.1, potassium and phosphorus 3.3.
Yep.
People consider coffee grounds a waste.
Okay, so I'm going to start from the comment, because it's sort of a question / comment, right?
Yeah.
So firstly, coffee grounds is considered as a waste. There's no doubt about it, but it's one of the best wastes that go out there that we can use, turning our waste into something wonderful or something valuable, right? So it's not a waste. It's actually where, like I said, I was just mentioned in Parliament about this, and that's not, I wish I could run out and get the certificate, but everyone will leave. So whether you believe me or not, it doesn't matter. But it's basically the nitrogen is what's going to set off everything, right? So you need to get it hot. Maybe you're doing this already. Then let it cool down, then introduce the worms. Don't introduce the worms too early. Wait till it's cool. And those parts, and what happens is, though, as the biology is fermenting and everything's cooling down, the worms are moving through it, that NPK will change, right? So what I want to do is help you understand the mass marketing that you've had in your lifetime since the petrochemical era of fertilizers, right? You were told NPK is the building block to all plants. And yes, it is. That is 100% true. But we need more than that. We need micronutrients, the macronutrients, the NPK that we're talking about. We also need live biology in the soil, taking the carbon down out of the atmosphere into the ground, locking in the ground and feeding that biology. So the carbon that's coming out of the air into the plants down and photosynthesizing, producing the sugars that feeds the biology and will change that NPK, will actually produce the macronutrients through the biology in the ground. Those little tiny things like scorpions that we can just see underneath the microscope. They're feeding on each other and breeding, and as they break down, they're dropping macronutrients. So the soil is continually getting better as long as we don't go in and go, oh shit, I'm going to dig again. We turn it into blood and bone and kill everything, and we start again. So we build on top. So while you're doing this, you're getting your coffee grounds, you're getting your different wastes and things like that. We need to compost it down. teach people to throw on top, to dig as less as possible. There are times when we have to dig, there's no doubt about that, but we want to feed from the top down and lock that carbon away. So we can do it as small gardeners ourselves by helping the environment, by locking some of the carbon out of the air atmosphere, putting it back into the ground. This is how, like, I'm a Christian myself and I believe in creation. And I just look at creation for all my answers. And if you look at that and just whether your faith is or not, just look at how the plant animal kingdom works. We're not outside in the forest down the road where I live throwing out NPK to go, oh, we won't grow tree without my help. Forests have been around, for forever. And they live through the recycling and the biology in the soil and the micro, macro nutrients that it produces. No one comes along and goes, hey, man, I think you need a bit of extra phosphorus. Oh, we'll throw some out. Instantly, you mess with it. So as it gets better and we improve our soils, these things get better. And so we just building blocks, and worm farming and composting is the real start to that. That's
awesome. Great information. I see your friend brought you some worms, was it 40 pounds of worms? How many pounds of worms did you receive recently?
Oh, is that in the recent video you're talking about? It was only maybe a few hundred. I probably didn't really mention that properly because I was sort of like trying to steer away from that and just sort of talk about it a little bit. But a couple of hundred. Yeah, so they were good worms, but the thing was, the material stunk. It was like so anaerobic, and I was just oh man, But the worms were good, so and I'm happy to take some freebies if I can, even though I've got sort of enough. But yeah, why not?
That's right. So where do you get your food scraps? I've seen you have a few videos. You got it from like coffee shops, and you got like your cardboard from coffee or places too, like your egg cartons and stuff. Do people donate food scraps to you as well now, or?
I get offered it all the time. I'm not set up to really run big systems like that. I need to go. I either go one way or the other, right, AJ? I stay online as an educator, or I become this sort of mass-produced composting guy that never gets to share this stuff online. And predominantly, I see myself, I come from a public speaking family. My father's a famous public speaker in Australia. Sweet. And, I come from that sort of background. And education is something I'm always very passionate about. So I think, I'm not too interested in going out and collecting huge volumes of that. So I just use what I cook here in my farms. And make it home, and what I'm recycling in the garden. So as I'm weeding and taking off leaves, mulching, that type of stuff, coffee grounds always plays a big role. And, like bits of carbon that's just sort of lying around. I think it depends on what you look at it. Some people do it as a hobby and they love it. And they're like, I want to feed a bit of apple peel and see how they go for that. AV does all that stuff. That's really awesome. All the different feeding. So do you and other people. Let's see how they attack this watermelon. Where did they go? Did they move to the avocado or did they go to the watermelon? I think that's really fun. That's really fun. So I don't sort of head in that direction. I'm more predominantly about the gardening and making the soils. So I just use whatever I've got lying around. Anything that's breaking down, man, I'm feeding it to them. I'm not that overly fussy, except maybe when I'm breeding up some new wisps or things like that, or I'm setting up a new farm and I want to make a worm drench or something. So I'm making a new type of liquid fertilizer, but that's getting a bit deep. And the main process is really, for me, is to just turn that waste into something valuable, something wonderful.
That's awesome. So when someone wants to purchase worms, do you make an appointment? How do they get in contact with you with your business?
Basically, they just buy phone numbers online for worm farming in the local Google thing. So they can access my number there, or they can go to my channel. And if you go to the About section, it has my email. you can email me through there. I don't really sell worms. I sell a bit of compost here, and and if people locally want to buy worms and I've got extra, I do that. I generally send them off to my friend Wormbiz, which lives a couple of hours away from me. Permy Pete, you see on the video sometimes, he has fabulous worms. That's where I get my stocks from. And I like to send the people off to there that buy them online in Australia. Wormbiz.com.au is the name. Plug for my mate Permy.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. So, what made you get into worms? I always ask anyone that comes on live streams, what makes you get into worms? Because we're not normal people.
Yeah. Well, before I started studying at agribusiness college, as I said at the beginning, I've just been gardening all my life, and I come across this space where I'd just broken my leg in a motorbike accident, and I'd been doing different ways to grow organic food, but I'd never used worm castings before. And this guy in the newspaper had half a ute load of worm castings for $100, and I thought, I might try that. And I had this really barren soil, and I was crutching around on one crutch, building this garden bed, right, and one mattock like this, right, for ages. Right. And I ended up building this big garden. My girlfriend at the time, she's a vegan, so I used to grow a lot of food and cook a lot of food as well, because I wasn't working. I was pretty injured. And, I just saw how well everything grew. And then it was sort of like the thing just clicked. And from then on, I'd been interested in that way, and it just slowly built. I went to Thailand, had run the surf school over there, come back, set up my YouTube channel for just documenting what I was doing, and started worm farming to save money. So I thought this is a great way to save money because I was so poor. Single dad, taking care of a daughter on my own with no grandparents around, no one, aunties, uncles, no one to help me. I just lived too far away from everyone. And I just started, and I just never looked back. And I just saw every time I got better at it, I just saw better results. And I'm like, why aren't more people doing this? I'm just like, this is amazing. The results. I was just growing like tomatoes and cucumbers and beans and radishes and all the food that I wanted just on my little veranda. I had to buy the compost for my pot plants, but I just fertilized with my worm farm and the liquid. I never bought anything else. I didn't want to spend any money.
Yeah, I could definitely
have it.
I definitely understand that. Someone has a question for you. It just popped out. Would you buy 2,000 cocoons per pound? Oh, I'll read it. Let me read it. You would buy 2,000 cocoons. It's roughly how many pounds of worms would that be? Would you already have a couple of pounds already to be able to start? So if you can see the question, that's how I'm reading it.
I don't really know a lot about the weights of. We go it in kilos here, so I think 1 kilo is 1,000 from memory. Look, as I said, I'm not predominantly someone that sells worms. I'm not weighing them up and putting them out and things like that. So I just basically teach that if you've got a small worm farm like the maize one, which were out in the video this morning, 500 is a good start, and then build out from there because it's a small worm farm. Anything a bit bigger than that, you need about 1,000 worms. Recently, I created another video where I released, which was cocoons into a worm farm. So that's a couple of weeks back. You can see that. And they're doing really good. And that was equivalent to 1,000 worms. So I don't know how many cocoons were in there. I thought I read the packet wrong, having dyslexia. I totally stuffed it up. But I said it was 1,000 worms, but it was equivalent. Permy Pete rang me up and goes, Marty, you got that wrong, mate. He goes, that's equivalent to 1,000 worms. So anyway, they're in there. They're growing like crazy. And so anything that says on the packet equivalent to 1,000 or 1,000 worms to start off with in a worm farm, sweet as. If you've got 2,000 cocoons, you could get anything from 1 to 7 worms in a cocoon. So, you could be within a month pulling a lot of those little wisps out and moving them into another farm quickly. So if I had 2,000 cocoons, I'd probably do 2 farms, you know.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps. If not, just reevaluate on the question and we'll do the best we can.
So do you guys have access to night crawlers, like European night crawlers in Australia or not? Okay.
Yeah, from Permy Pete, actually, my mate. So I've got Euros, Africans,
Okay.
blues, and the red, the dominant reds.
Yeah. You have the perfect conditions and climate for all 4 types of worms.
I do. I live right in the subtropics, right on the edge. I'm in the southernmost, so the most coldest region of the subtropics. So I'm right on the edge. You drive an hour and a half south, we're in temperate. Right?
Oh, wow.
And so it's further you drive north, you just start going into the tropics.
Okay.
So you've got to drive a good 6 hours, 7 hours north, even more, maybe 8 hours north to hit the tropical zone from where I am. So I'm as far. I can do temperate and tropical. I can do temperate much better, and I can push the subtropicals through the summer. But I live right on the coast, so we got the ocean, warm ocean, and we don't get cold frosts and things like that. So no snow or anything along those lines. So yeah, perfect place for growing food, worm farming, all that stuff. I'm pretty blessed in that regard. But that is a choice that I've made for my living and my lifestyle, right?
Good for you, though. That's awesome. So I don't know if this is on the same topic, but like, is it aquaponics? Is that what that's called?
Yeah.
So does worms and that go together? You know what I mean, in general, or not?
Yeah. I used to, when they first started doing aquaponics, they had a lot of problems to solve because they were coming out of the aquaculture area, which creates a lot of bad wastes and things, right? So aquaponics, I always forget the nitrates to nitrites. I get them mixed up in my head all the time. But, as we're actually, so the feeder, the fish are dropping the waste down and it's going back through the water and pass back through the plants, and the plants and the substrate is the filter, right? So at the beginning, they were having trouble having to pull all these roots out when they were harvesting and going, oh, this is a real hassle because we've got to keep changing our substrate all the time. And someone come up with the idea to introduce compost worms into the system, thinking, oh, they probably will live through a flush because they got to flush the liquid through all the time for the plants, right? And so that's the nutrient. And they just started eating the old roots. That's the plants. So you chop a plant out when you harvest, leave the roots in there. Compost worms would eat all that waste instead of pulling the whole lot out and turn that into another nutrient and actually create biology into the system. So yeah, they're common right through every good aquaponic system now.
Hey, excuse me for a second, Marty. Thank you, AB, for coming by. Check out AB's channel. He has a lot of worms. So he is a great guy, great content. Check out AB's channel. Like I said, subscribe to him, show him some love and some support. So thank you.
Cheers, AV.
Yeah. Glennie's here. Hi, Glennie. I'll see if he wants to join the stream. So I see your truck, Marty. You have the YouTube logo on your truck.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
You're YouTube famous. How did Yep, nice shirt. I like the branding. I like everything. Yep. Yep. That is awesome. So how did you let people know that you were a YouTuber? You know what I mean? That's something that a lot of people are like, should I tell someone or shouldn't I tell someone? But how did it work for you? Because you have, like I said, over 42,000 subscribers.
Oh, look, I thanks so much for all the wonderful things that you've said. I still see myself predominantly as a small channel, really. When you put myself up against Mark, Self-Sufficient Me, it's 1.4 million. Masilla Learn to Grow, these people that I love and admire, 140,000, things like that. And they probably look at other guys and go, wow, I'm small compared to them. So the funny thing is, it's only really been in maybe the last 6 months where I've actually felt really comfortable in myself to go, yes, I'm a professional YouTuber.
Yeah.
If I said anything like that months ago, it would always be, oh, yeah, I do this because that. I YouTube because of this. I YouTube to promote that. I have a YouTube channel so I can talk about this. And even like a few years ago, I said, I put a video out saying, oh, I'm going to be a professional YouTuber. heaps of people thumbed me down. He said, you suck, you know. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I was like, really?
Yeah.
So that's still the attitude even online, even though there was plenty of people making a good living from it. And like I said, I'm a low income earner. I just get, you know, we sort of just get through and it's great buy. But I actually feel proud now to say that I'm, you know, pretty much close to a full-time YouTuber, other than, you know, like my compost and my little part-time job that I have where I help the kids across the school, which is 5 minutes walk from here, which I absolutely love, watching those kids grow up. I've been there 5 years now, so I've watched kids go right through from year one right through to high school. Absolutely love that. And so, yeah, I think now we need to sort of have the confidence within ourselves to go, this is what I do and why, and not worry about everyone else thinks too much, you know.
That's right.
I'm just over that whole thing. It just, you know, like, yeah, I'm happy to say it now.
He's here. Glennie's here. Good to have you. Hey, Glennie, good to see you. You can't hear
Good to see you. How you going? I just waked up. I just made a coffee, changed the kids' nappies. Yeah, been talking to myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you and Marty both know each other.
G'day, mate. We haven't met. I haven't seen your face, though.
Yeah, we've seen you online. Together, Marty. We did it all together now.
Yeah. Wonderful.
It's awesome.
And kids, I totally understand what's going on there.
I have 2 Australians. That's awesome. That is awesome. Glad to have you here. See, what's up, guys? Marty. I'm from a different channel, but I've been a subscriber of yours for a while. So you got another guy. Yeah, there's a lot of people that subscribe. You never know who's your subscribers. You know.
Yeah. It's well, I produced a few videos a while ago saying I was ready to give up, and because I was just struggling so much. And I still, like, even this morning, I was like, oh, man, what do you produce next? Because the whole YouTube algorithm is just so hard to understand. It wants to box you in to where you want to produce something else. It doesn't work. It affects your channel, all these things. So it can be quite stressful at times. So I'm just like, bugger it. I'm just going to produce what I want, just keep doing what I do and stop thinking about it so much. Like, as I talk about it now, I can feel my neck getting stiff.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand that.
Yeah. Try not to get stressed about it.
But yeah, YouTube, it can be challenging. Like you said, some people will say negative stuff, and if you let that get to you, it can mess you up. But now I don't care. If it's a bad comment, I'll just hide it or delete it. It's like,
way to go.
You know, you can't, like you said, you can't let people determine your destiny. You got to make that choice, because there's a lot of people that are scared and jealous of what we do, so they're gonna try to bring us down with them. So keep doing what you guys do, man. Keep making those videos. Yeah. Glennie had some maggots or something, a long-tailed maggot, and was it your worm bin back in the day, Glennie?
Yeah, brother. Yeah, that's what they were. Eh? You got onto that link there for me, and they're exactly what they were. Yeah, and awesome. I haven't had them back since. I don't know. I thought it might be because I was overwatering it. You know, as you do when you start to put too much water in and a bit more compost, your maggots start to come. And
that's right.
You know, I backed off the food source there now, and that little thing I was telling you about the other day, Marty. It's like what did I have? Birdseed, chook feed, and it had sorghum and barley and cracked corn in it, and they loved that. And I had all the little corn and the barley and sorghum all popping up in me thing, and I got some out planted in my garden. I bet I got ready for my mate here in Woolly Creek. And,
awesome.
Yeah, but they seem to love it, and I've made a couple more. I've got pots, and I've cut them at about half, so the tape wasn't sitting right on the thing, compacting it too much.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I put upside down. They seem to love them. So my little stepdaughter, she's renamed them into little hotels, the Hotel California and Purple Pub, Dolberton and Shirley Creek Hotel and the PO and Cloncurry. No, they've got a little hotel names and stuff. But they seem to like it in there now. And
Making it fun. That's good.
yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, I found that those rat tail maggots from London's Worms and Garden, because I used to watch a lot of his videos. He had so many videos I'd watch too. So yeah, I learned a lot from a lot of people over the years watching the YouTube videos. Yeah, but it's funny. Now people know that I have worms. So yeah, I wasn't. I always tell people I was shy and embarrassed to admit it, but yeah, now everyone, majority of the people are really interested in becoming composters or worm farmers. Because there's a lot of stuff that worms can do that we never knew. So we're making a difference for the world. So
go on.
Sorry, Marty.
Oh, I was just saying, like, following up what you're saying, AJ, is that we're a bit behind in Australia than the US because of our population, obviously.
Okay.
So we're not have as many people moving, experiment, as many businesses and things going and stuff like that. So I'm lucky that I've got, my friend Permy Pete lives fairly close to me. I learn a bit off him. He learns a bit off me, but predominantly I learn more off him, I would say, because he does large scale stuff, like and so that's really interesting. But the major population is all small worm bins, and maybe the biggest one would be a hungry bin or something like that, or a big flow through system. But we're in that age, and I've been following this for a long time going, why won't this grow? And that's why I was so close to giving up a while ago. I was like, it just won't get the push that it needs. But realizing, that once the public are going to be pushed into a corner, knowing that they can't throw this stuff in the bins anymore, it's not going off to landfill anymore. They have to deal with it or pay for it to be dealt with. It's going to change everything, right? And it's we're on the cut. Sorry, mate.
But change it for the good.
Yeah. It's changing for the good, and it's going to happen now. So that's what's exciting me. I was getting more and more on a bit of a downer, going, hang on, people just don't care enough. But now they're going to be forced into a corner. There's no doubt about it. The money, the wallet's going to talk.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, but I'm glad that you were open and transparent. Because a lot of us don't like to show our weaknesses. But yeah, that people engage more when you have yourself open. You know what I mean? When you express your weaknesses. So
just got to keep it real. That's
right. That is right.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, okay, someone said JT said, "Wow, never thought of that." Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, like it says, you can't let people determine your destiny. You have to keep doing what works for you, because there's always going to be, I call them negatrons and downers out there. So
yeah, and everything.
That's right. And if you don't do it yourself, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. You rely on other people. Yeah, they'll say, "I'll help you," but you end up doing it yourself anyway. So
that's right.
If you don't do it yourself, it's not going to happen. So
that's right.
We all pull together. Like, yeah, we got to make that first step for other people to follow it. Yeah.
That's right. You're definitely right, Glenn. I agree 100%. But that's what's good about this community. We do a lot of talk about the garden community, and we don't like to. We're not scared to share our secrets, our successes, our failures. Like some other niches, they don't want to tell you nothing because the competition. But we have nothing to lose. We're in the same area, the same business. Our goal is to get rid of food scraps, make the earth a better place. So we have. Why would we want to hold that knowledge away from everyone that is not recycling their food scraps or their waste?
Yeah. So the next, I'm a very forward thinker, and this is what creates the problem of what we're talking about before, is to do with sort of like what's going to come up into the future. So when I first started Marty's Garden, it was a small space gardening channel, and I had this very first small space gardening website in the world called Small Space Homes and Gardens. Used to get around about 4,000 people there a day. I sold that when I was still living in the apartment because I had to buy a car. I had no car. So I think, you just got to do these things. And then this hot channel enveloped into small space gardening, and then micro farming and worm farming. Organic gardening now is sort of the direction that, mixed in with the worm farming. But the future, again, of thinking about so we're going to compost, we're going to farm worms, we're going to do this, we're going to do it and learn and educate from each other by having shows like this, watching everything sort of, this worldwide thing coming together, which is really exciting. But the next step is carbon. We need to start understanding carbon and not so much looking at it, going, oh, let's save the world through carbon, because it will help. But we need to learn about locking carbon back into the ground.
That's right.
And not moving the soils, right? So as I'm saying, going back to looking at how nature does it, how nature works and doesn't move and shift carbon, it stores it and builds layers. And so if we start looking at that and going, okay, so we're worm farming, we're composting, and now we're looking at, okay, what does this carbon do when it locks into the ground? And so the new information is showing that it feeds the biology. It's the food source of the world. We are 7% carbon ourselves as people. So that's the next step. That's the next evolution after that, without going too far forward. Think about what you're doing and why and where that carbon is going and how it's feeding the plants. So you can create this mantra, feed the soil, not the plants, with what you're doing. And boom, you're on a winner. This is what I believe anyway.
Awesome, I agree.
Marty, can I agree with you there? Up in the Gulf there, everybody the burn-offs, the country.
Yeah.
And it's surprising how much, like after a bit of rain or a bit of dew or something like that, boom, you got a nice green pick coming up, and it's like the country's thriving, It's like, why can't you do that in this Downs country out here in Julian Creek, but it'll take off and what the whole lot to get a big wind. But I reckon if you put proper fire breaks in and do it in sections, it's not going to happen overnight. No. It's not going to happen next
year.
year.
Care for somebody normal, just to have a normal word in life without you guys trying to bring everything up.
Good. I think he hasn't got his camera mute at the moment.
I love you all. Listen.
He's on another show. He's doing a double podcast. You might need to mute him for a second, AJ, while he comes through. I have a friend in there. So, that's unreal, like the stuff like... have you got like an Aboriginal background yourself?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's on my. I'm on my grandmother's side.
So a lot of people.
My dad's mum.
Yeah. So a lot of people probably watching internationally maybe don't get that sort of thing. They don't, because Australia predominantly, was managed. The Aboriginal population managed the land through fire burn-offs and things for many different reasons. But one of the things is that
way too, like it's not just lighten it and just let it go. They know, like where to burn and that's right.
Yeah. So basically, what they're doing, they're clearing land to hunt as well, but also to reproduce, get the calcium back in the ground, because things that burn actually produce so the soil gets slightly acidic over time, and that brings it back and re-neutralizes it. And you're also creating like a carbon release back into the ground. So all that material that's up there, that's caught up there, is going back down and recycling. And Australia, our country, does it naturally anyway without people burning off. And so it's just a part of that natural cycle. But as gardeners, we can actually, if we think about that, instead of just going, I'm just going plonking it on here, and you're just going, I'll just put it down there, and that's it. If you start getting in your mind that you're feeding the soil and the microbes and the good bacteria and helping the photosynthesis of the carbon going down into the ground, that's what they're feeding on. They're feeding that carbon and the sugars. And so if we start getting a little bit of an understanding, sounds too technical, but it's not. Just think of, like, we go right back into the era of people thought of pixies and fairies and all that type of stuff. they're our little pixies and fairies out of the ground, you know, like popping up a mushroom and we don't need to get too technical with it, right? As long as we don't eat too many of those gold ones that are popping up, you know. Hang on, man. I'm off with the fairies now.
Oh, God. Someone had a question for you, Marty. Do you have any information about how cold red wigglers can survive? I live in northern Canada where temperatures get below 45 Celsius. Conversion till continues below. Something
If they can handle very cold temperatures. They go into a thing called diapause. The heart rate stops. They lock down, and if they can control, they hold the moisture and they don't freeze, because some of them will freeze, some won't. But generally, what we try and do is create a hot compost pile. So we add a whole lot of nitrogen right near the end into the carbon, and then let them go down into that warm spot. Sort of thing. We turn it over for a bit at first, get it fired up, and then, you know, create a meter or 3 meter cube, and then wrap it in whatever we can to cover it a bit, and just let them go into there. So mass volume, nitrogen will warm it up, and they'll live through that. Yeah, and even underneath snow.
Would I need to create a giant heat pile and have it raised off the ground? Will have access to grass, coffee grounds, wood chips, brewery grains, cardboard, paper.
Yeah, so that's pretty much. I think I gave the answer just before that. So yeah, you can dig a hole into the ground if you've got a little tractor, because the ground will hold a more stable temperature than above. So that's a consideration as well. Have
you ever done the Charles Darwin no dig garden?
I don't know, maybe we ask our friend this one, eh?
Yeah.
Have you done one, mate? No. Charles Dowdy. No, I have. Basically, you use straw bales, and you just put nitrogen in them. Coffee grounds is great, or you can use, they use urea. They teach you to use urea with that.
Oh, you said no chill garden.
Yeah, that's what he means.
Yeah, I've just made it at the moment at the front there now. Yeah, I put a bit of cow manure down, and the mate's like, "Oh, just digging up a bit." I said, "That's black soil, mate. It's like, I've lived in this country a long time. It's just, too hard." And it's like, leave it like that. That's right. I'll sort it out for you, mate. I went out the cow yard. I've got to go and do a couple more loads today for a lady across the road. She's making a nice fruit cake, and she's like, "I'll put plenty of rum in it for you." And I got some more leftover hay that was in the yard, so I've got to pile up the heat. Made it lay up on about say that thick, 3 or 4 inches thick, and then got some more manure and put it over top of it, and it's going really good. Yeah, so
it's like a lasagna bed. There's a few different ways of doing it.
You got the pasta.
Yeah. So you can do it like that. There's so much online information about it, but I really like the straw bale. Just getting the straw. That's how I built my gardens in the backyard on sand. Mm-hmm. Just a straw bale. Start piling on. Let it sit out and get a bit moist and lock in so it's not dry. And then start piling compost on it and plant little plants into it with little root systems, little lettuces, little things, radishes, peas, things like that. And as it starts breaking down more, then plant some tomatoes into it, and never pull the roots out. You just cut the plants, leave the roots in there, and so that becomes a part of that biology. So then everything starts feeding on that, and then eventually it becomes a soil and a really good live, living thing. And, I've gone all the way where I've just gone, right, put a papaya in it. And I've got a 6-foot papaya tree growing out of the thing near the end. And so this little square that was originally just a straw bale has grown me kilos and kilos of food, because I just keep layering on top. And then when I'm finished, I throw another lot of compost on top, plant some more peas. They all spill over the side, grab some peas, and then just go, all right, put more on top, and never dug there once. And, I've got a big papaya.
That seems to be the best state.
Yeah.
Just a natural form of that.
Yeah, it's like nature how it does it. We're just sort of doing a speed up process.
Yeah. Talking about beans, my mate, he had a bunch of beans and a couple of bean trees growing in the back garden. We sort of made a bit of a built-up garden bed in his greenhouse, and chooks got in there, didn't they? And he just showed me the day before. He's like, look how good my bean tree's going, mate. I said, oh, it's going really good, eh? Because we've been pumping with the bloody worm castings and everything. And next minute, chooks got in there and ripped it all apart, had a couple of watermelons. And there they got there. Well, I was going to try to do the watermelon thing. This little Asian fella that does it, grows and that. And he got the watermelon and he'll pick out the best seedlings and then let it grow, and then it will run the right across the top, and then gets a little like an onion bag or your fishing net, ties it up, and once the plant starts to fruit, you rip off the other fruit, so you just got the one fruit, and it's putting it all energy into the one fruit. And Kate's like, well, they were going to give that a go, but no, it chooks beat me.
Yeah, got to keep those chooks away.
Oh,
They know where the good stuff is.
Oh, they do. But they gave us 3 eggs of it, eh? Right. Another chook laying an egg now. So, winning.
Unreal. I'm just going to grab a bit more water. 1 second, guys.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
I'll just fill up. I'm getting a bit low.
That's fine. I get a drink myself. What's the temperature like there?
Well, just checking for you there, okay? What's the temperature at the moment? Tuna Creek's 28 degrees. That was at 8:30 a.m.
Okay.
What is it? Update. It's one up to 33 degrees now, AJ.
Okay. So it's going to be warm there.
Hey.
So, Marty, a quick question for you now. Your daughter, how did you get her started with worms?
Oh, she's not doing it anymore. Yeah, she's lost interest.
Oh.
She's a teenager now, 15-year-old, but that's good. She's finding her own way and what she's interested in, and she's into her marine science.
Hey, what up?
So, yeah, she's like, we're just working a lot and sort of heading her down that direction now. Got a little shrimp tank with these little red shrimps in them and stuff, and she's off to work experience soon at a marine science lab next term for a term 1 day a week. So, yeah, she helps me a little bit here and there, but she's predominantly lost her interest in it now. So it's just me, myself, and I.
He's breaking up. Glennie broke.
We got a question there, AJ.
Let me fix this. Glennie went out.
Okay.
Can you feed your red wigglers charcoal to acid, or do you need to neutralize the soil by using eggshells, cardboard, or carbon sources? If I read that right, I'm not sure. So I don't know if I read that one right.
No, I can see the question anyway. Do you want me to answer that, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would avoid charcoal. I'm more into I think just a tiny little bit of stuff out of the fireplace is okay. You can't overdo it because you'll make your farm too alkaline. So I just recommend more is you just crushing up eggshell, to be honest. I think it's a much better way to do it. And it's a food for their grit, so for their gizzard. So, I'd be more inclined to use that. Cardboard doesn't really produce a grit, it only neutralizes it by sucking up nitrogen products such as wet things. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. I never use charcoal. My main thing is what I've been using is just basically, I just use paper and cardboard. That's what I usually go to. Yeah. But people use different things. We all have our things that work and stuff. So
yeah, sure.
That's what makes it amazing. We all try different things, improve things.
Charcoal's slightly hydrophobic, so it won't take the moisture as much as other things. And I think it would more take but he might be talking more about what's that other material called that the fancy name for charcoal. Just can't think of it at the moment. Someone maybe watching remembers that. But you make it with a fire and you heat it up and then cool it down real quick. Biochar. So a little bit of biochar is actually not too bad, but again, just don't overdo it.
Whoa, Martin AJ, worm farming extraordinaires. Thanks for being here, Vermer Compost. I got to stop this for a second. All right, viewers, I made a mistake. I got our times mixed up. I thought we were going to have it for tomorrow, but Australians are a day ahead of us, so this was an impromptu. So I messed up. Marty sent me an email, and I looked at it and said, oh my gosh, I messed up. Let's get this thing started. So yeah, thanks for, like I said, thanks for the email, Marty. I really appreciate that, because if it wasn't for you, I would never have known. And I don't really like to miss appointments. Oh, don't worry about the spelling. It happens. I'm not worried about your spelling. Yeah, that's just it's all right. No problem with that. But yeah, no, I'm just thankful that we were able to do this, and it's definitely an honor. So
thank you.
Yeah, how many bins do you have on average? Like at your house, you have like hungry bins. Is that correct? And yeah,
I got rid of a few and reforming. So I've got 8 of the biggest bins ever, which hold thousands upon thousands of worms, right? And then I've got two of the 3 tiered models, and then I've got a couple of the smaller ones for apartments and things like that. So I don't know, probably 12 to 13 all up. But I use my compost bin as a worm farm, and so I think if you were looking at it, I have about 4 or 5 sort of small systems running at the moment, and the rest is just big stuff. But I am going to be building on the smaller ones because I've put up the greenhouse now, which is becoming a studio. I'm going to be looking, as long as I get the interest, then I'll keep producing content in there and working along the side of organic gardening with the worm farming. Unfortunately, YouTube keeps boxing me in. Whenever I produce something a little bit sidelined off, I don't get the reach, and then my channel suffers a bit. So, and then I produce a worm farming video, and the channel goes up again, and then it starts expanding. So, I live in a bit of a dilemma because I predominantly produce compost worms for gardening.
Okay, I understand.
Tricky one.
Exactly. But I know you had like, you do microgreens and all that stuff. You're just a green thumb when it comes to gardening overall. So
I love it, AJ.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can always tell people that take their situations seriously. Glenn's back. But yeah, let's see. Do you have any other things you'd like to add, Marty?
No, not really. I think we've sort of covered quite a lot. I think if people sort of like come in late, they can go in and watch a bit from the beginning as well, because we covered quite some good topics.
Yeah. So make sure my phone was on silent. So yeah, like I said, you how long have you been on YouTube?
12 years, I think.
12 years. That's awesome.
It's been a battle. I've covered a lot of subjects though, you know, from small space gardening to micro farming, then a wide broad sort of stuff of, you know, gardening, and then, you know, now predominantly YouTube's boxed me in as a worm farmer basically. But you know, and I say that in a good way because I do like the worm farming and it's a part of what I do, but it's only a part of what I do. So I'm going to try and release some organic gardening videos for small space gardening, and hopefully that'll get some reach out there and start helping people to grow food using the worm farming systems, you know.
Yeah.
Then he's going walkabout.
Yeah. He's got a little dog out there
on the phone.
Yeah.
We're on tour.
Yeah. But I'm glad that we were able to
I'm gardening better. Mate, he's helped.
His connection's not real good though.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Glennie. Yeah, I knew it was gonna break up. But like I said, I'm glad that we were able to connect because with
Wi-Fi inside.
But with like emails, it's hard to tell if it's a spam. I'm glad we were able to actually verify that I was a legit emailer to you. It wasn't a spam.
Come through, no problem. So it's good that we've got connection now. So I'd like to, I'll have a show in the near future. So we'll try and get you on.
Okay, I gotta mute him.
And we'll work on getting you on one of my shows again soon.
Yeah,
that'd be really nice.
Yeah, and I'll definitely confirm the time this time.
Just got to remember a day ahead, mate. So that's cool. Maybe there might be. Is there any other? I can't see how many people are online here, but is there anyone with any questions or anything like that before? Did you need to go? Did you say, AJ?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Hold on. Yeah, any questions? So let's do a plug for your channel. Okay, Marty?
Yeah.
If someone joins your channel, they have a chance to become a worm wrangler? Is that correct?
Yeah. So basically, it's the usual thing. If people subscribe, we hopefully share, YouTube shares videos with them. They don't always, but the best way to really learn worm farming with me is to become a member in the channel and become a worm wrangler. You get access to all the courses there, and and also, you don't have to, but it's definitely a more sort of faster way to get to an end result to where you want to go if you want to do organic gardening and worm farming, because the videos are really quick and precise. There's 2 courses in there: starting a worm farm, a beginner's guide, and then starting organic seedlings, a beginner's guide, and they sort of cross over together to using the worm farm to then also grow your plants and seedlings and stuff. And then we've got all these like intermediate videos about different worm farm builds in there, using like what do you call it, like egg carton cardboard, and actually like curing the cardboard certain ways so we set the bacteria off it, and feeding them up and breeding them, and creating like little worm drenches for teas and things like that. So, and I've just finished producing a video yesterday. We've gone inside the maize worm farm, showing behind the scenes before I set up the new video of harvesting the worms out and preparing a new worm farm to get ready. So showing how I do that. So it's a bit of a different learning experience in the back end. In the worm wranglers area, level 3 you need to be in.
Exactly. No, thank you for sharing that. Someone was asking about Glenny's worm farm, JT Jr. Yeah, there's different type of worm bins. There's worm farm. I use totes. Marty has mazes. Sometimes they call it windrows on the ground. Some people use trash cans. Glenny, what did you have? You had a worm tower? He broke up again. Lost him.
Yeah, it's a pity that his signal's not so good, but that's what happens with online stuff here and there. But a lot of people could probably check out Glenny's channel to get that information anyway, right?
Yeah.
Worm Castle Eco from Eco.
Glenn, you're kind of breaking up. Someone said, Marty and AJ, worm farm extraordinaires, just started worm farming about 9 months ago. You two are where I get most of my information from when I started worm farming. Hey, that's an honor. Thank you for the comment.
Hope it's going well for you.
Yeah. Like I said, if I don't know something, you can always call me out. But yeah, it's like I try to get to the point. I don't want to waste your time, when it comes to worms. It's like, and I just want people to start doing it now. Everyone should be doing it. Let's see. Marty, you're the one that got my business kicked off by going well. So that's good to hear.
Wonderful. So how did that happen? Like what type, like we're talking worm farming business on a larger scale or what? Yeah, I'd like to know more.
My gardener, I think he's in Northeast Gardener. I think he's in the UK. He does a lot of gardening videos, so good to have you here. Yeah, if anyone has questions for Marty, or Glenny or I, shoot them out, because Marty has over 12 years plus experience with worms. he has, I'd say, over 1,000+ videos now. You know, with all your.
It's probably 500 worm farming videos, maybe. I don't know, maybe 4.
He's
something
humble. But he's got like a lot of followers. He's got like I said, 42,000 and growing. So if you haven't already, support his channel, because we could always use the extra support. You know, the words of encouragement and all that. Yeah, you're welcome, JT. Not a problem. So do you have any questions for me or anything?
Do we have questions? Are you saying from Glennie's Garden or me, or the?
Oh no,
or the people watching?
I'm sorry. Yeah, does anyone have any questions for me or Marty or Glennie? You know, shoot them out. But yeah, like I said, this is definitely awesome. It's like you think about, like, in general your channel. Okay, I think I'll have within like a couple of days. I'm 3 away from 2,400 subscribers, so I'm like, that's awesome, you know. And I'm like, and I'm collaborating with other bigger YouTube channels, you know what I mean? And when I collab, it's not about me. It's trying to get everyone else's name and face out there, you know what I mean, to lift you up. So, like I says, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to do that. Doesn't matter with me if you're big, if you have like 1 million subscribers or you have 10 subscribers. If you know something about worms and you're legit, you know, you always have access to be on these live streams. You know what I mean? So, what are your thoughts?
I think that's awesome, man. I'm exactly the same. It's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
falls into the thing, and that the production comes across well, as good as possible. That's something that, it's just getting the right irrelevant information out as quickly sort of as possible. Then just, connecting like this and showing people that we're who we are and what, like everyone, we're all different characters here, and and people can see that there's a wide world of different people doing this type of thing, composting and worm farming and growing amazing gardens with it, turning that and hopefully getting inspired, for many different reasons.
Yeah. I think with Northern Gardener, whatever, I think my gloves, they squeak when I'm in the bin, and it's like a chalkboard. He doesn't like
I can't handle that.
I know. I used to not wear gloves, but then like I was asking feedback, and then I noticed you do get a lot of dirt under your nails and stuff, and like I record with my phone for now, and it's kind of like, okay, you got to wash your hands and do this, but with gloves I can just put them on and just go from there.
I can't wear gloves because I've got tiny little buttons on all my cameras.
Oh my gosh!
So I've always got filthy fingernails, and I've got it's like probably why I never get a date. Hey, you want to go out for dinner tonight, darling? How you going? Oh, no. Sorry, dirty fingernails. So I'm always got to get in there and trim them up. But yeah, I got all the little buttons. I use cameras. I don't use my phone. And so yeah, it's really tricky at times. So I get rags out and cleaning and all that type of stuff. But
says the noise drives him crazy.
Yeah, it would. I wouldn't be able to watch it either. I can't handle those scratching. Look at my hands now. Look, I've been out. You can tell I've been out farming before I even come in.
Those are working hands.
I come in. I thought tomorrow we'd be running the show tomorrow, or hopefully if we could. We'll see how things go. But if we end up on here. And so I've run in to check how my video's going, clicked it on, and I've seen the email from you saying, oh, yeah, I'll be ready in 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, shit, look at the lights on. Everything's back on. Didn't wash my hands. So there you go.
It's okay.
Any girls watching that now, they're going, I'm definitely not dating Marty. Go wash your hands and go get a pedicure, or whatever they call it, a manicure, I don't know.
Hey, Bart Chuckin, good to have you here. Bart Chuckin is he has worms too. He had problems with slugs, and then he started making worm chow. and I guess his slugs have been eliminated now. But he got the slugs from I'm guessing from leaves from outside. But I don't bring leaves. I don't put leaves in my worm bin because of the history of what I've been seeing from other people. So
AV.
So yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah.
AV does that, and I think he brings I think
mites.
he brings all different types of mites and parasites into his thing. But in some way, he's doing it's good that he does it because he's showing people what problems can occur.
Yeah.
And then how to try and solve them. He hasn't always solved them himself, and he's had to start again. But I'm the same. I compost things down before I generally introduce them into farms, or I'm a bit scared of those mites and different things.
Yeah, I'm glad I've never had mites. That's one thing I'm like, I hope I never get. So far everything's been good. And he's pretty close to being slug free. So good for you. Good for you.
You always get a few slugs here and there. I still get them now.
Yeah. And he did. He says he brought them from the leaves. The leaves brought them in, and the worm chow was helping. So good for him to prove that the worm chow helped remove slugs. So, quick question for you, Barchuckin. What do you think? How do you think the worm chow has done that? Because it's dry, or you know what I mean? So. Well, I just got a warning. We got a tornado. We just got a tornado warning. So we got thunderstorms. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to get ready to go just to be safe.
Yep.
So, but yeah, there it is. It's flashing.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, you need to get on top of that. Make sure you're good.
I just want to take time out to say, let me see if a wife comes down, I'll end it. But it says till 8:15, so I'll see what happens. But we'll keep going until if I hear something, I'll roll out. But
okay, just make sure you don't want to just for a live show. Just make sure it's safe. But I'll answer that question. Can you use diatomaceous earth to keep mites down? AV answered that question when he did that, and it killed a lot of his worms. I think there's got a sharp material in there that actually attacks the mucus on the side of the worm. So I would say stay away from that after seeing AV's experiment of trying to use it. They don't like it.
Yeah. Barchuckin said reduce the food that the slug eats helps. So that's a good thing. I have mites, but my worm population appears to be fine by LP. So
you always have some mites, that's just a part of it's just the type of mite, right? So again, I'm not a soil scientist, but the soil web has mites. So if you just look on the soil web of a map of a soil web, there's mites. So, it's the overpopulation of general. If we overfeed something, that a mites are going to feed more, then they're going to overpopulate a farm because we've got this enclosed environment. So that's why we want to sort of like change up the feeding a bit. Sometimes not always have the same foods, and change the around the sort of like the carbon bases and things like that. I don't throw in the same food all the time. It just varies, and I find if you've got a variation of food, you end up with better worm casting as well. And that's only my opinion, but I just think, and some other worm farmers say the same thing. And they will predominantly always put cow manure in because cow manure produces a microbe that you can't get anywhere else. Passes through 4 guts or something to pick up microbes. So, variety of foods is the way to go. And I realized that when I had my composting systems going and I was just throwing into the tumbler all this different stuff, and that was producing the best castings out of all my farms. And it's just got to be because of the variety, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
You get a lot more seeds, though. That's the only thing. You get different seeds pop up. So if you don't mind those seeds popping up and growing them on, then that can be a good thing too.
Mm-hmm. Your worms with the you showed Nana's worms in garden about how they love the cardboard egg cartons. So
yeah, it's a great method. I think it's under Worm Farming Hack on my channel. So it's a fun one too. It's a really fun one. Yeah.
And I've seen people put them in a blender But they say don't do that because it's dusty. You know, the cardboard cartons that give it the fluffier bedding. But
Right.
no, I just put them. I'll wet it, get it wet, and then I'll just put it in that way. You tear it up or whatever. So
Yeah.
I never. I don't even like blending my shredding my cardboard because the dust sometimes.
Right.
You know. So yeah, you gotta be careful, and eggshells do that too. The powder. So you just gotta be careful what you breathe. So yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But
I throw
Marty-
my cardboard out in the rain. Leave it
Oh
out
yeah,
there
the
for a
rain's
bit.
a good
Yeah,
aspect.
we got really wet. Been flooding here a lot lately, so I just I get a big box. I just throw it outside somewhere in the corner and let it wet down for a week or so, and then rip it up and ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would stay later, but I'm gonna go. This storm, like I said, you never know what I'm gonna be getting. But like I said,
I got to go too. It's getting on time. Get
Yeah.
into a video edit.
Yeah. Our last question for today. I heard you can use coffee grounds to reduce slugs. I don't know if that's true or not. I follow a lot of different worm farmers.
I can help you a little bit with that. The slugs hate rough surfaces, right? So anything that sticks to them is rough. They will avoid it. They will go over it if there's only one way out. So you could put a whole circle around a slug, right, of thick coffee grounds. They'll go through it. But if you leave an opening of another space where they can go through and find another easier way out, they will. It's the same with like powdered eggshell. They won't. I've seen videos of them going over it showing it doesn't work, you know, and so, but it slows them up. They just, anything that sticks to them, they hate it. But the best thing for slugs is the old beer, the Aussie beer trap, mate. A little bit of beer in the bottom of the can,
Okay.
turn it on its side, they crawl in, get a bit of the sugars, drink a bit of the thing, they just die in the can, drown in there.
Oh, so that does kill them, like the beer. Just okay.
They just can't get out. So they climb up the can, go into the thing, and then fall down in and drown in the can.
So that I've heard of that, but I've
Simplest
never.
trap there is.
We used to put our thing was to put salt on them. You know, we used to always do that, and they would shrivel, and
Bit cruel.
Your mind tries to become more of an environmentalist and try to save the world and try not to do it that way. But I'm gonna go ahead and go, guys. I just seen some lightning.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you, Marty and Glennie, for stopping by. We'll get together again. It's been a pleasure and honor to be able to connect with you on a live stream. So we'll do this again.
Yeah.
If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Marty's channel. He has great content. He has plenty of experience on worms. And check out Glennie's channel. Like I says, I want to thank everyone for joining this live stream. And it's an honor to be able to connect with you once again, Marty and Glennie.
Great.
Thank you very much for having us on. Much appreciated. And see you later, guys.
Yeah. Have a great night, everyone. Bye.
I'll put the